The VLGA has put together a council or professional development program that not only aligns with the Victorian Government's mandatory guidelines, but does so in a cost-effective and time-efficient way. The series of learning intensives planned for later in the year allow councils to partner with their neighbouring councils to deliver core training. All modules are covered in 6 half-day sessions, and because the learning is shared with other councils, the costs are significantly reduced. The VLGA also offers bespoke training and can customise a program that responds directly to the unique professional development needs of your council. No matter your preferred method of delivery, the VLGA Councillor Professional Development Program will increase councillor confidence and competence. To find out more, email vlga@vlga.org.au. Pressure builds on Greater Geelong Council to remain in aged care services. A last-minute reprieve for a Stonnington animal shelter operator. Councillors call for action on online abuse and misinformation. Snowy Monaro's new council CEO announced. An impasse in wage negotiations in Noosa. A mayor's demands for an overhaul of the council complaint system. And maximum pay limits reduced for council CEOs in South Australia. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. This is the Local Government News Roundup, a curated selection of news from and about councils across Australia and beyond. It's Wednesday, the 28th of May. The Roundup is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. Welcome to the midweek edition of The Roundup. A decision on the continuation of council-provided in-home aged care services by Greater Geelong City Council was up in the air late yesterday ahead of a confidential council session due to be held last night. Councillors were due to consider a recommendation to exit the service, but were reportedly being lobbied to retain the service or defer its decision. According to the Geelong Advertiser, communications were circulating from local federal MPs yesterday, calling on councillors to put the decision on hold, pending further discussions with the relevant federal department. The Advertiser also suggested a motion to maintain current service provision was likely to get majority support. The number of councils delivering in-home aged care services has dwindled dramatically in recent years, and Greater Geelong's potential exit has been strongly opposed by the Australian Services Union, which was due to hold a rally prior to last night's council meeting. An animal shelter in the city of Stonnington has received a last-minute contract extension from the council after a petition with over 3,300 signatures urged the council not to engage the Lost Dogs Home as a contractor. The Age reported that the Lost Dogs Home was the only tenderer for the contract to run the Save a Dog Scheme shelter in Glen Iris. Critics raised concerns about the Lost Dogs Home's euthanasia practices, claims that have been disputed by the Lost Dogs Home and by the council's officers in their report to the council. Save a Dog Scheme did not tender for the new contract, but were granted a 1-year extension pending the formation of a task force and a further report to the council in December. ABC News has reported on the concerns of a large number of Victorian councillors about the activities of Council Watch Victoria. The organisation is accused by more than 20 councillors from at least 13 councils of alleged harassment, threats and misinformation campaigns. A motion aimed specifically at the organisation was initially put to the recent MAV State Council meeting, but was replaced by a more generic motion targeting online abuse and misinformation. The MAV says it's now actioning that motion. Frankston City Council's newly released draft budget includes a range of measures designed to ease cost of living pressures for residents. It includes a local support package valued at $1.4 million, with grants for food relief agencies and a pause on some service fees and charges. 11 service charges will be suspended, pet registration fees will be frozen for 12 months, and there'll be a discount voucher program to reduce cost of access to community facilities. The council's financial hardship policy is also being reviewed in recognition of the city having a higher percentage of low-income households than the metropolitan average and record numbers of households seeking help from emergency relief providers. Hume City Council has now joined with 33 other Victorian councils calling for a stop to the mandatory rollout of a separate glass-only bin service by July 2027. It says it shares the group's concerns about the $10 million cost to ratepayers and duplication of existing successful programs like the Container Deposit Scheme. The council resolved this week to formally oppose the rollout and will work with other municipalities to urge the state government to reconsider the mandate. Gannawarra Shire Council has joined the growing number of rural councils opposed to the VNI West electricity transmission project. The council has voted to formally oppose the project, which would see a 500 kilovolt transmission line running through the Shire and a terminal station at Tregowl. It says the project's costs outweigh local benefits and that landowner compensation is inadequate, particularly given the infrastructure primarily serves major cities' future electricity needs. And in the southwest of the state, Moyne Shire Council is calling for drought to be reclassified as a natural disaster as the region's farmers face unprecedented challenges due to record low rainfall. Mayor Karen Foster has invited the Victorian Premier to witness the crisis firsthand, where farmers are spending tens of thousands of dollars weekly on feed and water, with many being forced to sell their livestock. The council is seeking immediate state government intervention, including emergency support matching South Australia's recent $73 million drought relief package, while pushing for changes that would unlock additional disaster relief mechanisms for affected farmers. In more news in brief, Baw Baw Shire Council has launched a second round of consultation on significant trees, having identified 240 exceptional trees across the region to go on a register. The project aims to protect the specimens through the planning scheme. An accompanying significant tree study also includes 28 avenues, tree groups and reserves that provide meaningful contributions to the region's identity and landscape. Mitchell Shire Council has approved plans for multiple retail developments in Beveridge, including the area's first supermarket. A number of retail developments are aimed to begin serving the fast-growing community next year. And Bendigo Airport has hailed a major milestone. Over 100,000 passengers have used the QantasLink Bendigo to Sydney service since it began operating from the council-run facility in 2019. You are listening to the Local Government News Roundup for Wednesday the 28th of May, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government. Check out the latest edition of VLGA Connect, available now on YouTube and on podcast. Includes my interview with the Mayor of Kingston City Council, Georgina Oxley, about that council's concerns about the suburban rail loop project. Now to our New South Wales report. Snowy Monaro Regional Council has appointed Noreen Vu as its new permanent Chief Executive Officer. Ms Vu is making the move from Wedden Shire Council, where she's currently General Manager. She takes up the role in mid-July and will relieve Stephen Dunshay, who's been serving as interim CEO over recent months. Liverpool City Council has adopted a revised media policy aimed at addressing the rise in abusive and inaccurate social media posts targeting councillors and council staff. The new policy combines previous separate policies into one comprehensive document that aligns with the New South Wales Office of Local Government guidelines. It establishes clear guidelines for social media conduct, includes fact-checking criteria, and introduces photography protocols, while setting expectations for both council officials and community members engaging on the council's social media platforms. Wagga Wagga City Council has confirmed its support for the Wagga Wagga to Ladysmith Rail Trail project and plans to establish a steering committee to advance the concept and seek funding. The council will conduct an internal review of potentially extending the existing Tumbarumba to Rosewood Rail Trail to Himula. Region Riverina reports that the council has also initiated a trial program encouraging residents to properly dispose of items containing embedded batteries at the Gregadoo Waste Management Centre rather than throwing them into regular waste bins. The initiative aims to safely manage items like vapes, e-scooters and electronic devices with embedded batteries, which can be harmful to human health and the environment if not disposed of correctly. Bland Shire Council, in partnership with Temora Shire, is implementing a vacant homes project to address regional housing shortages by identifying and unlocking 169 potentially vacant properties through analysis of council rates data and water usage patterns. The councils are seeking to understand why the properties remain unoccupied and develop strategies to make them available for essential workers and industry professionals. And the New South Wales EPA has allocated nearly $3 million in grants to help councils and regional waste groups implement innovative waste and recycling solutions across 32 local government areas, as landfill space is projected to run out by 2030. The Local Government Waste Solutions Fund supports construction waste elimination, landfill diversion services and new material recovery technologies. A fourth round of funding will open in September. In other New South Wales Council news, Dr Narayanan Jayachandran has received Griffith City Council's Freeman of the City title, the 16th recipient since 1969, honouring his healthcare and community service contributions. The doctor, also Griffith's 2024 Citizen of the Year, was honoured at a council chambers reception. Camden Council has hosted its first Housing Affordability and Homelessness Forum to tackle housing issues in the fast-growing region. Statistics revealed house prices in Camden rose 46% versus 17% in earnings since 2020, while homelessness increased 30%, highlighting an urgent need for multi-level government action. And Ballina Shire Council has begun constructing a competition-level pump track at Kingsford Smith Reserve with over $730,000 in New South Wales government funding. The facility will feature main and junior tracks with viewing areas capable of hosting World Championships when it opens in October. Now, around the rest of the country we go, up into Queensland, where Noosa Council's wage negotiations with unions have reached an impasse, despite the council offering a 15% wage increase over 3 years. CEO Larry Sengstock said the offer, including back pay, was a very strong, fair and reasonable package that strives to achieve a balance between an affordable pay rise and ensuring job security. An unpaid lockout for staff involved in further protected industrial action has been extended to the 2nd of June, a decision that the Services Union has described as highly disproportionate. The latest developments follow unsuccessful conciliation talks in the Queensland Industrial Relations Commission, with another meeting planned for next week. Redland City Mayor Jos Mitchell is demanding changes to the local government complaints system after her council voted to reprimand her, despite being cleared by independent investigators of 2 anonymous complaints. The complaints, which cost over $27,000 to investigate, related to her public comments about council media protocols. The Courier Mail reported that 6 councillors voted against accepting the investigators' findings that cleared her. Mayor Mitchell is arguing that the current system, which allows councils to determine outcomes even after independent investigations find complaints unsubstantiated, undermines natural justice and wastes resources on potentially politically driven outcomes. The Darling Downs and South West Queensland Council of Mayors have met in Roma for a 2-day meeting to address regional challenges. Led by Toowoomba Region Mayor Councillor Jeff McDonald, the meeting brought together 10 member councils overseeing an area the size of Sweden. The councils discussed volunteering initiatives, flood management and housing solutions. Councillor McDonald said the meeting was an opportunity for regional collaboration through engagement with state officials on transportation, housing and telecommunications. Down to Tasmania now. Clarence Council is demanding the release of all documents related to the state government's decision-making process after losing the AFL High Performance Facility project to Kingston. Pulse Tasmania has reported that Mayor Brendan Blomley is not happy with the government's process, describing it as unconscionable and noting that no development application has been submitted despite the AFL's 2026 timeline. Hobart City Council has passed 2 key advocacy motions this week, one urging the federal government to strengthen enforcement of Russian oil sanctions and another to advocate for upgrades to the Domain Highway and Brooker Highway interchange. The council is concerned that Australian fuel purchasers may be inadvertently funding Russia's war in Ukraine through a refining loophole that allows Russian crude oil to be processed in countries like India and China before being sold to Australia. The latter motion includes plans to address congestion and safety concerns, with the Lord Mayor set to engage with state and federal representatives while also seeking information about the Tasman Bridge's structural integrity. Flinders Council is this week considering a motion to remove Welcome to Country and Acknowledgement of Country ceremonies from all council meetings and events. Pulse Tasmania reported that the motion came from Councillor Gary Blenkhorn, who's described the practices as divisive. The proposal has been strongly opposed by local Aboriginal organisations and the Aboriginal Land Council of Tasmania, with concerns it could cause significant offence to the traditional owners of the Furneaux Islands, where Flinders Island is located. The South Australian Remuneration Tribunal has decided to reduce CEOs' salary limits for many South Australian councils, rejecting Adelaide City Council's request to increase their CEOs' maximum pay to $500,000. The tribunal has reduced the maximum limit for a number of councils, a decision that has sparked strong opposition from the Local Government Association and some councils, according to a report from the Adelaide Advertiser. They've argued that it will make it harder to attract and retain suitable candidates, particularly in regional areas. Across to Western Australia, the city of Gosnells is partnering with Main Roads WA to implement road safety measures at 10 identified crash hotspots, including the installation of raised platforms, mini roundabouts and speed humps. The project, funded by the Main Roads Urban Road Safety Program, will be completed in 2 stages and aims to reduce speed-related crashes while minimising disruption during installation. Perth City Council has unveiled a unique 7-metre-tall Boonji spaceman sculpture in Stirling Gardens. The silver chrome statue, created by US artist Brendan Murphy and gifted through Gallotti Galleries, will remain on display for 12 months. Made from carbon fibre and steel and weighing 1,365 kilograms, the statue pays tribute to Perth's City of Light history from 1962, when residents illuminated the city for astronaut John Glenn's Earth orbit. It joins other Boonji installations in major cities like New York, London and Oslo. And in the NT, the City of Darwin has announced its support for Double Exposure, a new outdoor projection exhibition featuring large-scale digital artworks that will transform Austin Lane for one night in June as part of the Darwin Street Art Festival. The event will include free workshops for young artists under 25 to prepare digital artworks for projection as part of the exhibition featuring immersive installations, film, photography and digital art displays. And now some stories of interest from around the globe. In the UK, firstly, Reform UK-run Lincolnshire County Council has abolished its Flood and Water Management Scrutiny Committee, despite vocal opposition from other parties, according to BBC News. It says it will move responsibility for flooding issues to a broader Environment Committee in a bid to save money and simplify council operations. The decision comes after Lincolnshire experienced very severe flooding from storms Babet and Henk, with fresh flooding as recently as January. 25 UK councils are participating in a government trial of the Humphrey AI suite, with a key component called Minute that automates meeting note-taking and has been shown to save officials an hour of admin per 1 hour meeting. Computer Weekly reported that the councils are aiming to streamline administrative tasks in areas like planning and social care, while also introducing an AI knowledge hub for sharing best practices among councils. The government says it's working with councils to help them buy and build the technology needed to support local communities more effectively. In Pakistan, the Mayor of Peshawar has welcomed a High Court decision that declared amendments to the Local Government Act void. Mayor Zubair Ali said the decision is a victory for local government representatives who've been stripped of their powers and funds for over 3 years. The News reported that he has called for immediate restoration of authority to local bodies while criticising the provincial government for corruption and mismanagement and appealing to the people to support their local representatives and institutions. In the US, Denver City Council has approved new rules for e-bikes and scooters that will require sidewalk detection technology and designated parking zones in high-traffic areas, aiming to improve public safety and reduce accidents. Axios reported that the changes, which take effect in 2026, have received support from major operators Lime and Bird, though they will face increased operational costs to implement the new requirements. Last week, Lime chose Denver as one of a few select cities to launch a new electric bike, the Lime Glider, that doesn't require pedalling. To Ontario, Canada now. A heated Windsor City Council meeting this week was disrupted by shouts of shame after councillors deferred a decision on changes to the city's flag policy. The proposed changes would limit the types of flags that can be raised outside City Hall to official government flags and those associated with formal delegations or city-sponsored events. CBC News reported that LGBTQ+ advocacy groups are concerned about whether the pride flag would still be permitted under the new policy. Mayor Drew Dilkin says it's a whole lot of anger about nothing and the changes would not impact previously approved flag raisings. Wellington City Council in New Zealand has a wage bill that has increased by 40% to $151 million, while consultant costs have doubled to $59 million over the past 5 years, according to a report from The Post. The figures come despite the council employing 122 fewer staff and amid concerns over a 12% rates increase this year. The council attributes the cost increases to major capital projects, competitive employment market conditions and increased investment in city services, and it expects costs to decrease as projects are completed in the coming years. And finally to Japan, where Odate City has appointed 2 Akita dogs as airport directors at the Odate Nishiro Airport, according to a report from Japan's national daily, the Mainichi. The dogs, Rensui and Tsukika, who are siblings, will welcome visitors and promote the region's charm as part of a decade-long tradition of having Akita dogs at the airport. The breed is famous for its loyalty and is native to Akita Prefecture. The dogs wore bandanas at a special ceremony recently and posed for pictures with many airport visitors. There should be more local government dog stories, I'm sure you agree. Well, that's the latest from the Local Government News Roundup, edition number 457, recorded on Wednesday the 28th of May 2025. If you have comments or feedback or story ideas, you can send us an email at lgweeklynews@gmail.com. You can get more information about this episode, including story links and a transcript, at lgnewsroundup.com. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. The Local Government News Roundup is recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation. Until next time, thanks for listening, and bye for now. I'm thrilled to welcome Symphony 3 to the Local Government News Roundup family. If you're a local council, you know how challenging it can be to manage data across all your different systems. That's where Symphony 3 comes in. They've developed Smart Glue, a platform that integrates over 55 council systems, automating data flow without the need for manual work. It turns confusion into simplicity. With Smart Glue, councils save time, reduce errors and empower staff to focus on what really matters. Their clients see a real difference, up to 20% boost in productivity, with savings of over $30,000 per integration every year. Symphony 3 helps councils work smarter, faster and more efficiently, all while better supporting the communities they serve.